Carriage. The first time I saw it, I thought it was a trick of the moonlight. It was nearly 2 a.m., and I was biking home from my cousin's house on the outskirts of Canelones, a quiet area just northeast of Montevideo, Uruguay. The road was narrow, flanked by rows of low brush and eucalyptus trees that rustled gently in the warm breeze. I'd taken that road hundreds of times. I could have ridden it blindfolded. But that night felt different. The air was too still. The cicadas had stopped. Even the distant hum of traffic was gone. Just the soft whir of my tires and my breath. And then I heard wheels, wooden wheels, clacking softly, slowly, coming from ahead. I slowed, expecting to see a farmer's cart or maybe some kind of late delivery. But what emerged from the bend wasn't a car or a truck. It was a horse-drawn carriage. Old, wooden, with high wheels and iron-rimmed edges. The kind you'd expect in a museum or a period drama. The horses were large and dark, walking in perfect unison. The driver sat straight on the bench, reins slack in his hands. But something was wrong. None of them had heads. Not the horses, not the driver. From the neck up, nothing. Just torn edges of flesh, like paper that had been burned. I froze in place, foot on the ground, the front light of my bike catching the shine of the carriage wheels. And still, it moved. Straight ahead, smooth, unhurried, silent. I stood on the side of the road and watched it pass. It didn't stop, didn't acknowledge me. The reins didn't move, yet the horses walked, as if following a path they couldn't stray from. As the carriage rolled past, I expected to smell rot, blood, something. But all I caught was a scent like burnt wood. And then it was gone, disappeared into the night, swallowed by darkness. I didn't sleep that night. I kept seeing it in my head. The missing heads, the smooth motion, the silence. The next morning, I told myself it wasn't real. Sleep deprivation, shadows, maybe a trick played by headlights on some statue I didn't remember, but I couldn't shake it. So I went back. Same time, same road. I waited. At 2:06 a.m., I heard it again. The clack of wheels, the rhythmic thud of hooves. And there it was. Same carriage, same faceless driver, same awful stillness. This time I followed it. I pedaled behind slowly, careful not to get too close. I kept a steady distance, close enough to see, far enough not to be noticed, but it didn't acknowledge me, didn't speed up, didn't slow down. It just moved. I followed for nearly 40 minutes. The road narrowed, trees pressed in, the stars above seemed to fade behind the branches. Then the path dipped, and the carriage turned. Into a trail I didn't know existed. No signs, no fence, just tall grass bent beneath invisible wheels. I hesitated, but then I pedaled forward. The trail was rough, roots under the tires, damp soil. My legs burned as I kept pace, but I didn't stop. I had to know where it went. The carriage began to glow faintly, just a soft red hue, like embers in a dying fire. The farther it went, the brighter it became. I squinted through the trees, and that's when I realized it wasn't glowing. It was bleeding. The wooden planks of the carriage seeped with something dark and wet. Not dripping, leaking, as if whatever had once lived inside was now soaked into the frame. The driver's neck, what was left of it, shimmered like bone. Still, it moved. I stopped. I don't know why. My hands shook on the handlebars. Something told me if I went further, I wouldn't come back. The air around me vibrated like a low hum inside my teeth. And then the carriage vanished. No sound, no light, just gone. I turned my bike around and rode home as fast as I could. The next day, I didn't say anything to anyone, but I couldn't let it go. So I returned. Again. Same time. Same place. But this time, I brought someone. Thomas, a friend from school. Skeptic. Brave. Smarter than me. He didn't believe a word until we both heard the wheels. And then he had to follow. I tried to stop him, told him what I saw, told him what I felt, but he just smiled, adjusted his backpack, and rode after it. I stayed at the fork in the trail, just before the trees closed in, waited, watched the red glow disappear, and then nothing. No sound. No movement. Just the wind again, soft and indifferent. I waited for hours. Tomas didn't come back. At dawn, I went home alone. His mother called me that afternoon, asked if I'd seen him. I said no. That night, at 2:11 a.m., I heard a sound outside my house. A soft scrape. I looked out the window. And there it was. Thomas's bicycle, leaning perfectly upright against my gate. No mud on the tires, no sign of a crash, just resting, waiting. But Thomas was gone. No footprints, no phone, no note, just his bike. It's been a week now. The bicycle is still there. No one has touched it. The road is silent again. But I can't help it. Every night I wait, at the window, listening, for wheels, for hooves, for the headless carriage that never stops, that never looks back, that always finds someone new to follow. The key. It fell out of the wall when I pulled the loose panel away. The house was old. Stone foundation, wood frame, and steep roof lines, typical of the hills in northern Slovenia. I had inherited it from an uncle I barely knew, a man who died alone with no children and no close friends. The house sat in a quiet valley near the Austrian border, surrounded by tall pine and the sound of running water you could hear even when you didn't see it. I'd come to sort through what was left. A few pieces of furniture, yellowed books, broken lamps. Most of it would be sold or thrown out. I didn't expect to find anything valuable. Then, while checking for mold near the back wall of the bedroom, I found the loose board. And behind it, a key. It was iron, small enough to fit in the palm of my hand, but heavier than it looked. The teeth were oddly shaped, like a jagged mountain range, and the loop at the end was twisted, not circular. It looked hand-forged, aged but not rusted. I didn't think much of it at first, probably to a cellar or some storage shed that had long since collapsed. I put it on the desk and kept working. That night I couldn't sleep. Not because of the key, not directly. Just something about the house. The air felt thick, like someone had forgotten to open the windows for a decade. I lay in the old bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to ignore the creaks in the floorboards, and the occasional thump, I told myself, was pine cones hitting the roof. Around 3 a.m., I heard metal clink against wood. I got up, walked down the hall. The key had fallen from the desk, or maybe it had been moved. It now lay in the center of the floor, glinting faintly in the moonlight. I picked it up. My fingers tingled, and suddenly I knew. What it opened. Not a room, not a door. A place. The knowledge didn't come in words. It came like a memory I'd never made, clear, vivid, and absolute. A stone hatch beneath the kitchen floor. I hadn't seen anything like that earlier, but I went to look, moved the small table, pulled up the rug, and there it was. A square outline in the wood, barely visible, with a small iron ring set flush to the surface. It hadn't been there before. I unlocked it with the key. It didn't resist. The door opened with a hiss of air that smelled like soil and old paper. A narrow staircase descended into the dark. I didn't want to go down, but I couldn't stop myself. The stone steps were dry and clean, the walls tight, lined with smooth rock. At the bottom, a wooden door stood in the center of a wall, framed by iron bolts. No markings, no handle, only a keyhole. I inserted the key again. It turned. The door creaked inward, and I knew, immediately, that I shouldn't have opened it. The room beyond was wrong, too quiet, too cold, and empty, except for something in the far corner, a bundle covered in dark cloth, unmoving. I didn't go in. I couldn't. I turned to leave. The key slipped from my hand, landed on the stone floor with a clang. The sound echoed too long. I picked it up and ran, up the stairs, through the hatch, back into the kitchen. I slammed the floor shut behind me, but it didn't close fully. The gap remained, only a sliver, but enough. I tried forcing it down. No luck. I weighted it with furniture, books, my own body. Nothing worked, and the knowledge returned. Only the one who opened it can close it. I thought maybe I was imagining things. Maybe it was exhaustion, stress, the house playing tricks. I left the next day, stayed at a nearby guest house, tried to forget. But the key came with me. No matter where I put it, pocket, drawer, suitcase, it always found its way to the center of the room by morning. And every night, I dreamed of the door, not closed, not open, wider. Each dream, the gap grew, and something moved inside. Never clearly, just shifting, breathing, waiting. I tried to return the key to the wall, sealed the panel back up, even nailed it in place. The next day, it was on the bed beside me. Last night I went back. I had to. The hatch was wide open now, the stairs visible, the air colder. The door below was ajar. I walked down with the key clenched tight in my hand. The room was darker than before. The cloth bundle was gone. But something was in the corner, facing away, hunched, breathing. It didn't move when I stepped in, didn't turn, but I felt it watching me from inside. I stepped backward, key raised, and the door behind me slammed shut. No handle on this side, just stone. I don't remember how I got out. I woke up in the kitchen, key in my hand, hatch closed. But this morning, the floorboards were warm, like something had been pressing against them from beneath. And the key is different now, heavier, the teeth sharper. And I know, if I don't close that door soon, it will open on its own. But I also know this. To close it, I have to go inside, all the way, and lock it behind me. The bridge. The first time I crossed the bridge, it was broad daylight and oppressively hot. I was driving south of Cairo, following an old road that curved around the outskirts of the city. My destination was a small village where my uncle had left me some property. Just a piece of land, unused and mostly forgotten. I hadn't planned on staying long. The bridge came into view without warning. It looked ordinary at first. Stone pillars, faded railings, a surface cracked from decades of sun and sand. But beneath it stretched not a river, but a dry, barren trench. The kind of hollow where water might have run once, long ago, before the earth drank it all. No name on the bridge, no signs, just emptiness beneath. I crossed it in under a minute and thought nothing more of it. Until that night. I couldn't sleep. The heat clung to the walls of the house like sweat, and the fan only stirred the air in weak circles. Around midnight, I stepped outside for air. The desert sky was clear, stars sharp and distant. I walked without thinking, letting my feet carry me, and I found myself at the bridge. The night made it look longer. The railings cast crooked shadows across the surface, and the trench beneath was darker than black. I turned to go. That's when I heard it. Water. Flowing. But there hadn't been water there in years, not even in the rainy season. I stepped forward, cautious, and leaned over the edge. Beneath me, the trench was still dry. But the sound was real, rushing, steady, like a strong current just out of sight. Then came another sound. Sobbing. Software female, coming from directly below the bridge. I froze. It wasn't loud, not pleading, just quiet, heartbroken sobs, rising and falling with the rhythm of the water. I leaned in. I shouldn't have. The instant my eyes passed the edge of the railing and stared into the black, the sobbing stopped. So did the water. Total silence. Then, something else. A sound like breath against the back of my neck. I turned, but no one was there. I stepped away quickly, heart pounding, and hurried back to the house. That was 2 nights ago. Since then, something has changed. I can't hear anything. Not silence. Only water. Constant. Lapping. Rushing. Dripping. Echoing. All inside my head. It drowns everything else. People talk, but I can't hear them. Cars pass, doors close, dogs bark, but it's all muffled beneath the same sound, like I'm submerged. I saw a doctor in town. He checked my ears. Perfectly fine, he said. No blockage, no infection, nothing abnormal. But the water doesn't stop. Worse still, I started dreaming. Always the same. I'm on the bridge again. Midnight. The stars gone, replaced by a sky like wet stone. I walk to the center. I lean over. And below, there she is. A woman in the trench. Face hidden beneath long, black hair. Kneeling in dry dirt, but around her, water moves, not around her body, from it. Flowing out from beneath her, endless, silent streams that shimmer with something darker than water should ever be. And she cries, but not from her throat, from the space around her, like the earth itself is weeping for her. I wake up gasping, drenched in sweat, my ears full of that rushing sound. I tried driving away this morning, packed everything, left the house. I didn't make it past the bridge. The road kept turning me back. I can't explain it. No matter which route I take, I find myself back at the same place. Stone railings, sun-bleached cracks, and the trench beneath. I haven't slept since. And the water is louder now. It floods my head. It fills my lungs. I cough, but nothing comes out. My ears ring with tides that don't exist. I stood on the bridge again tonight. Midnight. The sobbing returned. Clearer. I didn't lean over this time. I didn't need to. She was already there, standing in the middle of the bridge, not walking, not floating, just there. No face, just a shape wrapped in soaked cloth that never dripped. I turned and ran, but her footsteps followed. Quiet, steady, like droplets falling one by one. I don't know how long I can stay awake. I don't know what happens if I fall asleep, but I know what the bridge wants. It's not a path, it's a well, and once you look in, you don't hear anything else, ever again. The light. It was the only building that stayed lit after dark. The village was small, tucked high in the hills of eastern Nepal, where the roads narrowed into gravel and power outages were more common than running water. I had come to document local architecture for a university project, but what I found instead was something I couldn't explain. Every evening, the lights in the houses dimmed and then vanished entirely, one by one, swallowed by nightfall and unreliable electricity. The locals didn't seem to mind. They lit candles, cooked early, spoke in hushed tones by oil lamps, but no one ever lit the temple. It sat on the edge of the ridge, a small stone structure with faded prayer flags and a single wooden door. Weathered steps led up to it from the main road, and behind it, the mountain dropped into a steep valley. I asked around, "Who takes care of the temple?" No one answered. "Do you pray there?" Shrugs, avoided eyes. Every night around 9 p.m., a light appeared inside. Not bright, not flickering like a candle. It glowed, software pale, almost blue. I noticed it on my second night. I watched from the guest house window as the village went dark, and then, like a match struck in fog, the temple lit up. I assumed someone was inside. A monk, maybe. A caretaker. Someone the villagers didn't talk about out of respect. But every time I walked past during the day, the temple was empty. Dust on the floor, cobwebs in the corners, no footprints, no offerings. Just that door, always closed yet never locked. On the fourth night, I went up. The power had gone out again. My flashlight barely worked, the battery down to its last breath. I followed the narrow trail to the ridge, the temple glowing faintly ahead like a firefly trapped in stone. No sound, not even wind, just the faint light seeping from under the door. I reached for the handle. It turned easily. Inside was one room, stone walls, a small shrine at the far end, its figure long, worn smooth by time. No windows, no candles. Nothing that could explain the light, yet the air shimmered with it. It wasn't coming from above or below. It was just there. And in the center of the room stood a mirror. Old, cracked, freestanding on a wooden frame. I stepped forward and looked into it. My reflection stared back. Still, normal. But behind me, in the glass, the light was brighter. And something moved. A flicker. Just beyond my shoulder. I turned quickly. Nothing. The door remained open. The shrine unchanged. But in the mirror, my eyes glowed. A pale, soft blue. I backed away. My heart was pounding. I didn't remember blinking, didn't remember breathing. I left the temple and hurried down the hill. Back to the guest house. Back to candles and blankets and the soft hush of other people sleeping. In the morning, I checked the mirror in my room. My eyes were the same as always. Brown. I convinced myself I imagined it. The next day, I asked a local boy about the temple. He stared at me for a long time, then said one word. Don't. That night, the power failed again. And again, the temple lit up. The villagers didn't even look. On the sixth night, someone else went up. A teenage girl from the far side of the village. I didn't know her name. I only saw her from a distance. Her figure climbing the path, her scarf glowing faintly in the temple's light. She didn't return. But the next morning I saw her, standing at the edge of the rice field staring at the mountains. Her eyes were glowing. Not brightly, just faintly, like embers buried in snow. She didn't speak. She didn't blink. She only looked, and when I waved, she didn't respond. The villagers avoided her now. They didn't shun her. They feared her. That night, 2 more went up. They returned at dawn, silent, still, eyes glowing with the same cold fire. I told myself I wouldn't go again. But something pulled at me. I couldn't explain it. It wasn't curiosity. It wasn't fear. It was invitation. Last night I climbed the path again. The light was waiting. I stepped inside. The same room. The same mirror. This time I didn't stop at the doorway. I walked up to the glass and looked in. Behind me, shapes moved. Not people. Reflections, echoes. Each one with glowing eyes. None of them blinked. I stared at my own reflection and watched the blue bleed slowly into my eyes. I tried to look away, but the mirror held me. I don't remember leaving. I woke up in my bed this morning. I feel calm. Too calm. The villagers won't speak to me now. They won't meet my eyes. They know. And tonight I will return. Not because I want to, but because now I belong to the light, and it never goes out. The last ticket. It was supposed to be a joke. We were hiking through the Andes in central Chile, tracing an old trail that connected a series of forgotten mountain towns. The four of us, me, Martin, Diego, and Lara, had taken time off from school, hoping for a week of clean air, quiet views, and campfire food. We weren't looking for anything strange. But then we found the station. It wasn't on any of our maps. The path had bent away from our planned route, but the sun was high, and we were curious. We figured it was just another relic of a time long gone. The building was half collapsed, a single-story structure of chipped paint and weathered stone, with a rusted sign that read, Estación Alto Niebla. No date, no schedule, just a cracked wooden bench and a shattered window. Behind it, we found the tracks, or what was left of them. Rotted wood, rusted rails, twisted by time and erosion. They ended abruptly at the edge of a cliff, as if the mountain had swallowed them. Martin was the one who found the ticket. It was lying in a drawer inside the station master's desk. Folded, crisp, barely yellowed. A train ticket. One way, no destination listed. Just a date, March 17th. Today. He laughed, held it up like a winning lottery number, and tucked it into his pocket. Guess I'm going somewhere, he joked. None of us thought much of it. That night we stayed at a guest house in the nearby village. Stone walls, small rooms, and a fireplace that crackled late into the night. We were tired, full, and more than a little drunk. But just after midnight, I heard the whistle. Not faint, not far. Loud. Sharp. Like a train pulling into a station. Only a few meters away. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Until the room began to glow. A faint light moved across the walls. Long rectangles pulsing slightly as if passing behind windows. I sat up. Outside the window, darkness. No lamps, no headlights. But the shadow on the opposite wall shifted. Shaped like the body of a train. Slowly rolling by. Click. 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 The sound of wheels. But there were no tracks here. No station. Nothing. I ran to the window and looked out. Only the yard. Grass, trees, moonlight. But the sound continued. I turned back. The light passed through the room like a wave, then faded. Gone. Silence. In the hallway, I heard someone else stir. The door across from mine opened. It was Lara. She'd heard it too. We checked on the others. Diego was still asleep, but Martin's bed was empty. The window in his room was open, and on the floor just beneath it was the ticket. Flat. Unfolded. But the date was gone. In its place, a single word had been printed, boarded. We called the police the next morning. They searched the area, interviewed the locals. No one had seen Martin. No signs of struggle, no footprints beyond the edge of the guest house yard. Only the broken line of wild grass where the ticket had been found. We stayed 2 more days. Every night the whistle returned, always at 12:07 a.m., always followed by the light. But it never stopped again, just passed by. And in the silence afterward, I began to wonder, had Martine actually left? Or had something come for him? On our last morning, I packed quickly. I wanted to be far from the mountains before dark. But when I picked up my jacket, something slipped out of the pocket. A ticket, identical, crisp, folded. I hadn't taken it. I hadn't touched Martine's. But there it was. Same print, same blank destination, same date. Only this time, the date wasn't March 17th. It was March 20th. Tomorrow. I burned it, watched the flames curl its edges, blacken the ink. But when I returned to my room, another lay waiting on the bed. Untouched, unburned. I haven't slept since. The train still comes every night. The light still passes by my walls. And I think I understand now. The train doesn't follow tracks. It follows names, one by one, ticket by ticket. And once yours is printed, there's no station far enough. The call. I hadn't been back to my grandmother's house in nearly 10 years. It was a narrow 2-story brick home in southern Poland, nestled at the edge of a forest that always seemed too quiet. My brother and I spent summers there when we were children, chasing frogs, climbing trees, making up ghost stories we half believed. That was before the accident, before I lost him. I returned in winter after my grandmother passed. She'd died in her sleep, in the very same bed she'd slept in for 50 years. Peaceful, they said. No pain, the funeral was small. Snow fell like ash the entire time. Afterward, I stayed in the house for a few nights to sort through her belongings. Alone. I thought I could handle it. The house hadn't changed. The wallpaper still peeled at the edges. The creaky staircase still groaned like it remembered every footstep. And in the hallway near the kitchen, the old black rotary phone still sat on its little wooden table. Dusty, disconnected, silent. I remember tracing the cord with my fingers. It hadn't been plugged in for years. My grandmother kept it there, for the memories, she used to say. That first night, I barely slept. The wind rattled the windows, and the house sighed with the weight of time. I made tea around midnight and sat at the kitchen table, trying not to think. That's when the phone rang. I dropped the mug. The shrill sound echoed down the hallway. Too loud, too alive. I stared at it. It rang again. I walked slowly, unsure if I was dreaming. It rang a third time. I picked up the receiver. Static. Then, "Hello?" My blood froze. It was his voice. My brother. Not a recording. Not a memory. Him. Software calm, like he'd just stepped out of another room. "It's cold here," he said. I couldn't speak. "I'm coming to get you," he whispered. "You don't have to be alone anymore." Then the line went dead. I stood there for a long time, the receiver still in my hand. When I finally set it down, the house was silent again. I checked the line. Still unplugged. Still dead. That night, I sat in the living room with every light on. I didn't sleep. I told myself it was grief, exhaustion, a dream I hadn't realized I'd had. But when I went into the hallway the next morning, I found them. Wet footprints. Starting at the front door. Bare feet. Small. The size of a child's. But they weren't heading in. They were heading out. I followed them through the hall, past the stairs, to the back door. It was open. Not wide. Just a sliver. enough to let in cold air, enough to let something out. I checked the snow outside. No prints, just the untouched surface of white stretching out into the trees. The phone didn't ring that day, but I couldn't shake the voice. His voice. He'd sounded older than I remembered, but not quite adult. Frozen somewhere between the boy he was and the one he should have become. That night, I disconnected the phone completely, removed it from the table, coiled the cord, and placed it in the closet. At 2:17 a.m., it rang again. From inside the closet. I didn't answer, but the ringing didn't stop. I opened the closet slowly. The phone sat upright on the floor, the receiver off the hook. No light, no cord. Still ringing. I picked it up. "Why did you leave me?" the voice asked. I didn't answer. "I waited," he said. "In the water." Then nothing. Silence. This time I threw the phone into the trash outside, buried it under snow, and shut the bin tight. The next morning the phone was back on the table. Dry, untouched, but the floor beneath it was wet. A single puddle, perfectly shaped like a bare footprint. I packed my things that afternoon. I told myself I would leave, sell the house, let someone else deal with the past, but the snow started falling harder, and by evening, the roads were closed. One more night, I thought. Just one more. I locked every door, bolted every window, placed the phone in a drawer, wrapped in cloth. I poured salt across the thresholds. Not because I believed it would help, but because doing something felt better than doing nothing. At midnight, I heard it again. The ringing. Faint, muffled, coming from inside the drawer. I didn't move. The ringing stopped. Silence. Then a sound I hadn't heard in years. His laugh. Software's close, like he was standing just behind me. I turned slowly. No one there. Just the open front door, snow blowing in, and a line of wet footprints leading back inside. I haven't left the house. Not because I can't, but because I don't want him to come looking again. Now, every night at 2:17, the phone rings. And if I don't answer, the footprints return. Closer. One step nearer to where I sleep. Last night, they reached the foot of the bed. I know what happens if I pick up the phone again, but I also know what happens if I don't. Tonight, I'll answer. And when he says, "I'm coming to get you," I think I'll say, "Okay." Portrait. Dude, I swear it didn't look like that yesterday. That's what Eli said, standing there with his hands on his hips, staring up at the painting like it had personally offended him. I leaned in, squinting. Yeah, the face looked weird. Not gone exactly, but blurry. Like someone had rubbed at it with a damp cloth and then tried to fix it with bad Photoshop. "Maybe it's just the light," I said. "No, man. Yesterday he had eyes. Now it's like this melted potato thing." I laughed, even though it wasn't funny. We were standing in the village council room, which doubled as a community hall here in the hills of central Fiji. Our buddy Tomasi had brought us along to help with some wiring repairs or something. I didn't ask a lot of questions. I just said yes to the free weekend trip. There were 3 of us, Eli, me, and Tomasi. We were all from Suva, went to the same university. Tomasi's uncle was one of the village elders, so he had some kind of hookup with housing and food. Easy gig. The painting was the only thing on the far wall. Huge, old-looking frame, cracked in places. The guy in it was dressed in colonial-era clothes. Long coat, stiff collar, hand resting on a book. We didn't know who he was, and nobody we asked really gave a straight answer. He was someone important, Tomasi said when we asked. That was all. But yeah, the face. It was getting weird. That first day, it looked faint. You could still kind of tell he had a mustache, short hair, dark eyes, maybe middle-aged. But the next day, it got worse. I'm telling you, Eli whispered, pointing as if the painting could hear us. His nose is gone. Like, completely. There was a nose. He wasn't wrong. The cheeks, too. Just vague shadows now. Like someone was painting over the original image with fog. We took pictures. Compared them. The change wasn't dramatic, just barely noticeable if you weren't looking for it. But we were. And once we noticed, we couldn't stop watching. Every morning, we'd check. Every morning, more of the guy's face was just not there. And then Paulo went missing. That's when it got messed up. Paulo was one of the guys from the village. A little older than us. Super chill. Always down to drink and swap stories around the fire. He'd shown us how to catch freshwater eels the night before. And the next day, gone. We asked around. No one even remembered him. Seriously. Tomasi swore we were messing with him. Paulo. Who's Paulo? He said, completely deadpan. We thought he was joking, but he wasn't. Even his own sister didn't know who we were talking about. And then we looked at the painting. The face was gone. Just smooth, blank canvas, where a face should be. No shadows, no color. Just emptiness. It hit me hard. Not just because Paulo was missing, but because I couldn't remember what he looked like either. I knew him. I remembered talking to him, joking with him. But when I tried to picture his face, there was nothing. Like my brain kept skipping that part. Eli noticed too. He got real quiet that afternoon. Not like him at all. He's usually the loud one, the guy who laughs first and hardest at everything. That night, he wouldn't eat. Just stared at the wall, at the painting. I went to bed early, told myself I was tired. Told myself we were imagining things. Stress, bad food, maybe a prank by the villagers. But when I woke up the next morning, Eli was gone. And Tomasi was acting weird. I thought you were coming alone, he said over breakfast. What? To help with the wiring. You said you'd do it solo. I never heard about this Eli guy. I stared at him, mouth open. You met him. You were literally hanging out with us for 2 days. Tomasi blinked. Are you okay? I ran to the council hall. The painting was still there. Still massive. Still cracked. Still faceless. And now, it felt like it was looking at me. I checked my phone. The pictures of the painting. Gone. Every shot we'd taken. Every selfie with Eli. All blank spots or files that wouldn't open. And here's the kicker. I couldn't remember what Eli looked like. My best friend since I was 12. Gone. His name felt thin in my mouth, like it didn't belong to anything real. I wanted to scream, to tear that damn painting down. But I couldn't move. I just stood there, staring at the place where a face used to be. And then I noticed something new. The edges of the blank space had shifted. It wasn't growing anymore. It was tightening. Getting ready. I think I'm next. I'm writing this from the village guest house. If you're reading this and you remember me, remember Eli, then please don't come here. Don't ask questions. And whatever you do, don't look at the painting.
Reflection. You ever get that feeling like someone's watching you, even when you're alone? That's how it started for me. Just a hunch, a twitch in the gut, and it only got worse. I'd taken this solo trip to Norway. Yep, way up north. Off-grid cabin in the woods, middle of winter. Sounded peaceful, right? Cheap airfare, and the idea of being snowed in with hot chocolate and a stack of books sounded like paradise. Well, it was, for about 2 days. The cabin itself was nice, tiny, but warm. Had a wood stove, a little kitchenette, and this massive window right across from the bed, facing the forest. During the day, it was gorgeous. Snow blanketing the trees, light bouncing off the hills. Picture perfect. But at night, different story. Third night in, I woke up around 2 a.m. The kind of wake up where your brain doesn't know why, just that you're not supposed to be asleep. I sat up in bed and looked straight at the window. And there she was, standing outside, face pressed right up against the glass. I couldn't see much, just the shape of her head, long dark hair, white skin glowing in the moonlight, and those eyes, wide, way too wide, staring dead at me. I didn't scream or anything. I just froze. My heart was doing backflips in my chest. I blinked. She was gone. I figured I'd imagined it. Lack of sleep. Maybe a weird shadow. I told myself that about 100 times the next morning. Even laughed it off over coffee. Hell of a dream, I muttered. But it wasn't a dream. Next night, she was back. Same time, same spot. Only this time, closer to the glass. Her face clearer. And here's the thing. She looked like me. Not exactly. Not at first. More like a blurry version. Off-brand me. Like someone tried to paint my face from memory and got the proportions wrong. But close enough to make my skin crawl. I wanted to get up and turn the light on, but I couldn't move. I just stared back at her, and she stared right through me. She didn't knock, didn't move, didn't breathe, as far as I could tell. Just stared. By the time the sun came up, she was gone again. I didn't sleep that day. I paced. I triple-checked the locks. I even walked around the outside of the cabin in the freezing cold to prove to myself there were no footprints. Nothing. Not a single mark in the snow. But the next night, she came again. And she looked even more like me. Same haircut, same eyes, but still, not quite right. Her mouth was wrong, a little too wide, like she was trying to smile, but couldn't remember how. I tried to ignore her, stayed under the blankets, eyes shut, but the air felt heavy, like the kind of pressure you get before a thunderstorm, but worse, like it was pushing in from all sides. That night, I had this dream. Or maybe it wasn't a dream. I honestly can't tell anymore. In it, I was sitting at the table, eating. Only, it wasn't me. I was watching from outside, from her side of the glass, watching myself eat, laugh, stretch, like I'd been replaced and shoved outside to watch the rerun. When I woke up, the chair at the table was pulled out. My coffee cup, empty, was in the sink. I hadn't touched it. The next night, I didn't sleep. I sat in a chair facing the window, lights off, blanket wrapped around me like armor. Midnight came. Then 1. Nothing. I started to think maybe she wasn't coming. Then, right at 2 a.m., she appeared. But this time, she didn't stay outside. She was inside, standing in the reflection of the window. But I wasn't. I checked behind me. No one there. I looked back at the glass, and there she was. Same blanket, same chair, same face. Except I wasn't in the reflection anymore. Just her, looking out. I panicked, got up, turned on every light in the cabin, checked the bathroom mirror. Still me, thank God. But something in the reflection was off. My expression didn't match what I felt. I was scared, shaking. But the reflection? Calm, almost smug. Next morning, I found my journal. I write in it every night, just habit. Only the last entry wasn't mine. Same handwriting, but not my words. It read, "She's getting better at it." I didn't write that. I swear to you, I didn't. After that, things moved fast. She showed up earlier, stayed longer. Her face was almost perfect now. If you didn't know better, you'd think it was me. But I knew. Because she moved before I did. If I went to reach for my glass, I'd see her hand lift a second before mine. If I frowned, she'd already be scowling, like she was predicting me, becoming me. I tried to call for help. No signal. I tried to leave, but the snow had piled up, chest high. Door jammed. Windows wouldn't open. I was stuck. And then I started forgetting things. My birthday, my middle name, my parents' faces. But she remembered. I could tell. She smiled when I hesitated, tilted her head when I stammered, like she was collecting everything I dropped. The last night, I think it was the last, I woke up on the floor. The fire had gone out. It was pitch black, but the window glowed. She was standing there. Number not standing. Sitting. In the chair. Inside. Looking out. I crawled toward the glass. My breath fogged it up. But her breath didn't. And when I looked, it was my face in the chair and hers in the glass, staring back at me, smiling, that wide, wrong smile. I think she took my place. I think I'm on the wrong side now. So if you ever go up north, nice little cabin in the woods, big window, great view. Don't stay too long. And whatever you do, don't look too hard at your own reflection. It might blink before you do. First crossing. All right, so you remember that summer I spent in Norway, right? The exchange program? Yeah, the one where I came back early. Told everyone I got homesick. That wasn't why. It was this bridge. Old-ass suspension bridge in the far north. Somewhere outside Tromsø. Like middle of nowhere. The kind of place where daylight lasts all night in summer, and the air smells like pine and snow. Anyway, I made friends with this local kid named Eric. Cool dude, quiet, but funny. He had this little group, Carrie, Mads, and two other guys whose names I swear I knew before, but can't for the life of me remember now. We hung out a lot. They were into horror movies, urban exploration, that kind of thing. So one Friday night, Eric's like, let's do something dumb. Always a great opener. He says there's this old bridge way out past a shuttered logging road. No cars go over it anymore, barely safe for walking. It stretches over a narrow gorge, river way down below, fast and loud. They dared each other to cross it at night. Typical teenager stuff. But I was 17 and desperate to fit in. So I was like, hell yeah, let's go. We got there just past midnight. Still light out. That weird blue twilight Norway does in the summer. The bridge was long, maybe 100 feet, with wood planks and rusty cables. It swayed a little when the wind picked up. The idea was simple. Each of us would walk across one at a time, alone. The rest would watch from the trail and cheer or laugh or whatever. Eric volunteered to go first. He stepped onto the bridge, hands in his jacket pockets, casual as hell. Took maybe 5 steps in, turned around, grinned, then walked forward. We waited. A minute, 2. No sound, no movement. I figured maybe he was messing with us, hiding on the far side, waiting to jump out and scare the next person. So Carrie went next. She made it all the way across. No Eric. She called out. Nothing. Then Mads went. Then me. Then the 2 other guys. Still no Eric. We searched the other side. Looked down into the gorge. Nothing. No movement. No splash. Just water roaring far below. We started yelling. Calling his phone. Dead signal. We were way too far from anywhere. We even ran back across the bridge, thinking maybe he doubled back. Nothing. Panic didn't set in right away. Not until we noticed something weird. Carrie said it first. There were 6 of us. I laughed. Yeah. Eric, Carrie, Mads, me, and those 2 guys. She looked at me like I'd grown another head. What 2 guys? I pointed. The 2 dudes standing right next to us. Except now, there was only one. And I couldn't remember the other one's name. Neither could anyone else. We went back to the trailhead. There was a little ranger outpost nearby, with an old camera system overlooking the bridge. Mads talked to the guy on duty, convinced him to show us the feed. Footage was grainy, black and white, but you could clearly see us walking up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Not 5. Not 6. Just 4 kids standing at the edge of the bridge. First person steps on, walks forward, disappears mid-span. No glitch, no cut, just gone. And then 3 others cross. That was it. No Eric. No other guy. We told the ranger someone was missing. He called it in. Search teams came out the next day. Drones, dogs, everything. They found nothing. And here's the part that really messes with me. When I got back home, I went through my phone. All our trip photos, party shots, selfies, lake days. No Eric. Not one picture. And the photos looked weird. Like we were always standing, just slightly too far apart. Like there was space for someone else. But they weren't there. When I asked the exchange program coordinator about Eric, she looked confused. "You were placed in a village near Tromsø, right?" she said. "There were only 3 host families participating that year." I tried to describe him, gave her the name. She checked the list. No Eric. Sometimes, late at night, I dream I'm standing on that bridge again. And I see someone walking toward me, hands in their jacket pockets, smiling.
Under the ice. You ever take your kid ice fishing? I did once. Just once. It was supposed to be a weekend trip. Just me and Josh. Some quality father-son time, you know. We were in Norway, near a little village whose name I couldn't pronounce if you paid me. My wife had found this cozy rental cabin near a lake. Said it was peaceful, private, perfect for bonding. It was, for the first day. Josh was 13, full of jokes and questions and that kind of a restless energy kids get when they're away from Wi-Fi. We drilled a hole through the ice with a manual auger, set up the chairs, cracked open a thermos of hot chocolate, and dropped the lines in. Nothing fancy. Just us, the cold and the wide open white silence. Around dusk, we heard it. Knock, knock. From underneath the ice. Josh froze, looked at me. "Did you hear that?" I said, "Yeah." Sounded like the ice shifting. Natural. It happens. Then it came again. Knock, knock. Rhythmic this time, like someone tapping with a knuckle. Josh leaned over the hole, ear close to the ice. "Wait," he said. "Someone's talking." I raised an eyebrow. "Come on, bud. Nobody under there?" He shook his head, eyes wide. "No, seriously. It sounds like me." I walked over, put my ear down too. Nothing. Just the gurgle of water below. Maybe a bubble or two shifting around. "Probably an echo," I said, pulling him back. "Ice does weird things with sound." Josh didn't look convinced. That night he barely touched dinner. Sat staring at the fire, lost in his own head. "You okay?" "Yeah, just tired." I let it go. At some point during the night, I woke up to the cabin door creaking. Thought it was the wind, until I noticed Josh's bed was empty. I grabbed my boots, coat, flashlight, heart hammering in my throat, and followed the prints through the snow. They led straight to the lake, to the hole we'd drilled. Josh was kneeling beside it, head tilted like he was listening. "Josh!" He didn't turn around. I ran over, grabbed his shoulder. He looked up at me, eyes glassy. "They're calling me." I pulled him to his feet. "We're going back. Now!" He didn't fight me, but he didn't say anything either. Next morning, I woke up to silence. His bed was empty again. The door was open. Same trail of prints. I ran to the lake. The hole was still there. Josh wasn't. No new prints, no broken ice, no blood, just gone. I screamed his name, called for help. Search teams came, drones, divers, nothing. The only thing they found was a small digital recorder sitting next to the hole. Not ours. Just sitting there in the snow, clean, dry, like someone had just set it down. I pressed play. Josh's voice. I'm okay, Dad. They just want me to listen. And then a knock. Knock, knock. And a second voice. Also Josh's. Help. Please, I'm down here. The recording ended. I live back in the States now. House is quiet. I don't go near lakes anymore. But sometimes, late at night, when everything else is silent, I hear it. Just barely. Knock, knock. And I wonder which voice was real. No moon. I haven't been hiking alone since it happened. I used to love that stuff. Solo trails, off-grid routes, disappearing for a few days with nothing but a pack, a flask, and some instant noodles. Gave me peace. Gave me silence. Gave me time to think without the world screaming in my face. This was maybe 5 years ago, in Norway. I'd been knocking out trailheads across Europe during the summer. That week I was up in the north, past Tromsø, doing this long loop through some of the less traveled highland ridges. I had a solid topo map, GPS, emergency beacon, everything. Wasn't my first rodeo. Second day in, I took a wrong turn. Nothing major. Just missed a marker at a fork. Kept going down the wrong slope for maybe an hour before I noticed. Thought no big deal. I'd backtrack after setting up camp. The spot I found was in this shallow valley. Quiet, kind of tucked between two ridgelines. Lots of pine. And no light. I mean none. By the time the sun went down, I realized something weird. No moon. Like, not behind clouds, not dim. Just absent. And the stars? Barely there. Like they were trying to shine through tinted glass. I've done plenty of night hikes. You get used to darkness. But this was different. The sky wasn't dark blue or purple. It was black. Pitch. Like the kind of black that eats up light and doesn't spit it back. Didn't sit right with me. I didn't sleep much that night. Woke up a few times, thinking I heard footsteps outside the tent. Every time I unzipped and peeked, there was nothing but silence. And shadows. My own mostly. But there were more than there should have been. The next morning I packed up quick and started heading back uphill to the ridge. GPS wouldn't lock. The trail I'd come down was gone. Just trees and stone where there should have been switchbacks. And those damn shadows. It started with one that didn't match my movement. You know how your shadow should move when you move? Well, this one didn't. I'd step right, it would step a half second late. Like it was lagging behind. Or watching. I stopped. It stopped. But the rest of my shadows? They moved normal. Every direction, depending on how the light cut through the trees. I blinked hard. Took a breath. Kept walking. Next thing I knew, I had 2 lagging shadows, then 3. They followed like a parade behind me, all the same shape. Mine. Same backpack, same stride, but out of sync. Just enough to notice, just enough to make my stomach twist. I kept walking, kept telling myself I was dehydrated, tired, maybe getting sick. Saw a ridge ahead, and figured if I could get some elevation, I could reorient and find the main trail again. But when I climbed that ridge, there was another valley on the other side. Same as the one I just left. Same bend in the river. Same cluster of pines. Same rocks. That's when I realized I wasn't getting out by walking. I camped again that night. Had no choice. The fire wouldn't catch right. Wind was still. Not cold. Just still. Like the whole place was holding its breath. And the shadows? They didn't need moonlight anymore. They just showed up. Even in total dark, I could see them stretched out from my boots. 1, 2, 5, 12. Just crowding around my feet like curious animals. I sat there all night. Didn't sleep. Didn't move. Just watched them move when I didn't. In the morning, I decided I was done trying to make sense of it. Just picked a direction and walked. Straight line. Compass be damned. That's when I saw it, far ahead on the trail. Another hiker. Same gear, same jacket, same boots, same backpack. They were walking away from me, just far enough I couldn't see their face. I shouted. They didn't turn around. I picked up my pace. So did they. I stopped. They stopped. I stepped left. They stepped left. Before I did. I don't know how else to say it, but it was my shadow. Not a silhouette, not a shape on the ground. A full-bodied version of me. Colorless, hollow, leading me deeper into the valley. I didn't follow. I turned and ran the other way. Didn't care where I ended up. Tripped over roots, cut my hands on rock, tore through trees. Eventually I collapsed. Woke up hours later on the edge of a real road. A couple hikers found me. Norwegian dudes gave me water, helped me get to a ranger station. When I told them where I'd been, they said there's no valley like that nearby. Nothing matching that description within 50 kilometers. I showed them my GPS. It was blank, no logs. I asked if they'd seen anyone else come out of the woods. They said no. I looked down at the ground while they talked. One shadow. Mine. Still, sometimes if I'm out in the sun too long, or I catch myself in a street lamp just right, I swear I see it lag. Just a little. Like it's trying to remember the steps, trying to catch back up. The stopped bell. You know how most churches ring the bell at noon? Just a single toll. Part of the routine. Most folks don't even notice after a while. Background noise. Well, I noticed. Because in the town I was living in, a little village in the hills of Norway, it stopped being background real quick. I was working as a groundskeeper and maintenance guy for this old stone church. Beautiful place. Big steeple, stained glass, the whole deal. It had this massive bell up in the tower. Thing was old as sin and loud as hell, but it worked fine. It rang every day at exactly 12 o'clock. Never missed a beat. Then, one Tuesday, it rang again. At 12:01, just one more toll. Then 12:02, another, and then it stopped. Weirdest part, the bell didn't swing back down. It just froze. Like someone hit pause in the middle of a move. The clapper stuck to one side, like it had been glued there. I figured it was a jam. Gear malfunction. That thing was old, and the auto strike system probably needed some attention. So I told the priest I'd check it out the next day. He nodded, but looked real uncomfortable. Only during daylight, he muttered. It's important. Didn't ask what he meant. Probably should've. Next morning I went up the tower, tools in hand, head full of reasons this wasn't a big deal. The staircase was brutal. Narrow wooden steps that creaked like they hadn't been used in years. Smelled like dust and rust and something else. Like old coins and rain. At the top I checked the motor. It looked fine. Power connected, timing module blinking like it should. I gave the bell a gentle push. It didn't budge. Not even a wiggle. So I walked around to the back side of the bell, and that's when I saw it. A notebook. Just sitting there. Propped up on a dusty wooden crate like someone left it for me. I picked it up. Black leather cover. Real old. Pages yellowed, stiff. Inside, dates and times. Hundreds of them. Every entry the same. March 2nd, 12:03. March 3rd, 12:04. March 4th, 12:05. On and on, day after day, always the same time format, a minute later each day, until yesterday. March 17th at 12:17. Today was the 18th. I flipped to the next page. One sentence. Next is you. Yeah. No name, no details, just that. I dropped the notebook and got the hell out of there. Didn't go back. Told the priest I was sick. Told myself I was imagining it. But I kept checking my watch. 12:18 came around. No bell. Not a sound. And that silence, it felt different. Like something missing. Like a held breath that never got let go. Next day, the priest found the notebook sitting on the church steps. He swears he didn't put it there. Now here's the kicker. I left Norway after that. Packed my bags, moved back to the States, picked up work somewhere less haunted. But ever since then, no matter where I am, my watch dies for exactly 1 minute every day. 1 minute later than the day before. Like it's counting up. I'm not sure what happens when it hits 12:60, but I don't think it's going to be good. Black mailbox. It started with Gabe saying, "You ever notice that one mailbox on Miller Street? The black one with no number?" We were sitting on the tailgate of his truck, eating gas station burritos like they were gourmet. Small town stuff, boring nights, dumb talk. But that question? It stuck with me. "Nah," I said, wiping hot sauce off my thumb. "Which one?" "Corner of Miller and Grove. No address, no flag. Just matte black. Looks like it belongs in a spy movie or some conspiracy crap. I've driven by it 100 times, but I've never seen anyone use it." So, a couple nights later, we drove by. Sure enough, there it was. A little rusted on the bottom, the kind of black that eats light. No house nearby. Just a stretch of overgrown lawn and a busted sidewalk. I got out, walked up to it. Gabe rolled down his window. "Don't touch it, man." I ignored him, lifted the lid. Empty. Next morning I jogged by there just to check. Lid was shut, but something was sticking out. A yellow envelope. No stamp, no address. Just thick paper. Sealed. I didn't touch it. Not then. 3 days passed. Each morning, a different envelope. All sealed. No names. Finally, I took one. Inside, a blank sheet of paper. That was it. I showed Gabe. He said, "That's government crap, like those silent drop points you read about." I laughed it off, but I couldn't stop checking. It became a thing. I'd swing by after work, sometimes find nothing, sometimes find 3 or 4 envelopes. One night, I found a small white box instead. Inside was a photograph of me, sleeping. The angle was weird, like from the ceiling. My bedroom light was off, blinds shut. I live alone. That night, I didn't sleep. Next morning, I found another box. Inside, a key. I didn't know what it opened. Still don't. I threw it in a drawer and locked it. That Friday, Gabe came over with beer and a plan. Let's stake it out. Midnight. See who's leaving that crap? So we parked across the street, windows down, engine off. Nothing happened. Until 2:13 a.m. No sound, no footsteps. Just the flag on the box rising on its own. Gabe turned to me. "You saw that, right?" I nodded. Then the lid creaked open. Slow, like it weighed a ton. Another box inside. The flag dropped. "Hell no," Gabe whispered. "I'm out." He left. I didn't. I walked over, opened the box. Another photo. This time it was Gabe, standing next to the mailbox. He hadn't gotten out of the truck, but the photo showed him reaching for the lid. I haven't seen him since that night. No one has. I called his phone. Disconnected. I checked the box every day after that. Always empty. Until this morning. There was an envelope addressed to me. Handwritten. Just my name. Inside was a card, funeral service for Gabriel Thomas. April 12th. Grove Hill Cemetery. No sender. No time. I looked it up. Cemetery's real. But no service scheduled. No one by that name on record. I'm not going. I'm done checking that box, but part of me knows it's not done checking me. The unfrozen pond. You ever look at something and just know it ain't right? That's how it started. Me and Caleb were out in Montana, taking a weekend fishing trip. Real backwoods stuff. He knew this spot he swore by. Never crowded, perfect for trout, he said. What he didn't say was, it was weird as hell. We got there late afternoon. Snow everywhere, the kind that crunches under your boots and sticks to your jeans. Trees bare, wind sharp, everything frozen solid, except the pond. Perfectly still. No ice. Not even slush. Caleb said, "Yeah, this spot never freezes. Even when it's below zero. Crazy, huh?" I stared at it. Looked like glass, not a single ripple. "You sure it's safe to fish here?" He laughed. "Man, I've been coming here since I was 15. Caught my biggest rainbow right over there." So we set up, tossed a couple lines in, killed a few beers. Cold as it was, the pond almost made it feel warmer, like it was giving off heat or something. Didn't think much of it until I noticed something near the middle. It wasn't a fish. Just under the surface, still as death, was a face. At first I thought it was a reflection, but the angle was wrong. It was looking up, eyes closed, mouth slack, like someone sleeping. "Caleb," I whispered. "Look." He turned, squinted. "Shit! What the hell?" We both reeled our lines in real quick. Neither of us wanted to say it looked like a body, but it did. Pale skin, short hair, male, maybe my age. "Think someone drowned?" I asked. "Dude, no way. This water's clear as hell. We'd have seen them before. That wasn't there 5 minutes ago." I wanted to leave. Caleb wanted to stay. Said maybe it was some trick of the light, but I couldn't shake it. The image stayed burned into my brain. That face. We packed up before dark. I didn't even help load the gear. Just sat in the truck watching the pond. The face never moved. That night at the motel, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that pond. The eyes, the way it didn't freeze. Around 3 a.m., Caleb shook me awake. "You sleepwalking or something?" "What?" "Number I haven't moved." He looked freaked, said he saw me standing by the window, just staring outside. I told him it wasn't me. He didn't believe me. Said I whispered something like, "It's warmer in the water." Next morning, he was gone. Left a note on the table. Had to clear my head. Went back to the pond. I called him. No answer. I waited 3 hours, then drove back out there. His truck was parked the same spot. Rod still in the bed. But Caleb? Nowhere. I walked to the edge. Pond was still unfrozen. Still silent. And right where the face had been the day before. There were two. One of them was Caleb. I swear to God. I didn't stay. Drove straight to town, told the sheriff. They went out there, came back saying there was nothing. No pond. Just snow and trees. I showed them GPS logs, photos on my phone. Gone. All of it. That night, I had the worst dream. I was standing at the edge of the pond again. Only this time, I was in the water, looking up, watching myself. And the next morning, I got a text. No number. Just one sentence. We're waiting. I don't sleep anymore. The unsignaled intersection. You ever been stuck behind one of those cars that just sits at a stop sign like it's waiting for the second coming? That happened to me last Thursday. And I swear to God, I'm not making this up. It was late, like almost midnight. I was driving home from Jules' place in Boulder, heading through this rural patch just west of Erie, Colorado. Not a soul around, just me and my high beams. The kind of road where you start spacing out because it's so damn quiet. There's this T intersection about 10 minutes from my apartment. No streetlights, just a stop sign facing north-south. I was coming up northbound, and I saw this car already sitting there at the intersection. Lights on, engine running, but not moving. No turn signal, just idling. So I slow down, expecting it to turn or something. But it doesn't. Just sits there. I give it a sec, thinking maybe they're checking directions or passed out or whatever. But I get closer and realize something's off. First, I can't see the driver. Not even a silhouette. Just darkness behind the windshield. Maybe tinted windows, but that's weird for a car with its lights on and no movement. Second, the damn thing's been there at least a few minutes. I pull up behind, wait like 20 seconds, then tap my horn. Nothing. Not even a brake light twitch. Now I'm getting antsy. It's cold. I'm tired. And I've got an early shift. So I edge around to the left, real slow, thinking I'll just pass, and maybe get a glimpse of whoever's in there. As I go by, I glance sideways. Still can't see anything. It's like the inside of the car just swallows the light. But I swear, just as I clear it, I catch movement in my rearview mirror. There's a hand in the back seat, just waving. Small. Real slow. I almost wrecked. Swerved half into the ditch, heart pounding like I just have seen a damn ghost. I pull over maybe 100 yards ahead and stare into the mirror. Car's still there. No one got out. No one followed. But the hand, that image wouldn't go away. Next morning, I tell my coworker Drew. He just stares at me and goes, "Was it a gray sedan? No plates?" I'm like, "Yeah. Why?" He turns pale. Swears up and down he saw the same thing 2 weeks ago. Same spot. Late at night. He passed it, got the wave, freaked out, thought it was just him seeing stuff. I ask around. 2 more guys from work say they've seen it too. One said he thought it was some kind of prank until he realized his dash cam footage from that night was corrupted. Whole section just blacked out. I drove that way again last night. Same time. Nothing there. But I've started checking my rear view more than I used to. Not for traffic. Just in case someone waves back again. Because that wasn't a driver waiting to turn. I don't even think that was a driver at all. The silent phone booth. You know how some places just stick in your memory for no good reason? That old gas station off Route 20 outside of Ames, Iowa. That's one of those for me. It's been shut down for years. Graffiti on the walls, busted out windows, the works. But what always caught my eye was the phone booth out front. Still standing. Still somehow untouched. The glass is clean, no tags, no cracks. The cord's not even cut. It just looks maintained somehow. Like someone gives a damn about that one thing in the middle of a rotting lot. I must have passed it 100 times. But one night, on my way home from my cousin's, I pulled over. Don't ask me why. Just felt like I had to. I walked up, half expecting the smell of piss and mildew, but it didn't smell like anything. Like the air just stopped inside it. I picked up the receiver. No dial tone. But then, this voice comes on. A woman. Crying, barely whispering. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I just panicked. Then nothing. Silence. Deadline. I stood there like a moron for a full minute, waiting to see if it would repeat. It didn't. I hung up, got back in my car, spent the rest of the drive home trying to shake that voice. Next week I went back. Same time, around midnight. Picked up the receiver. Different voice this time. Guy, sounded older. I shouldn't have left you. I thought I was protecting you. Again, click. Silence. I started checking in regularly. Thursday nights, I don't know what I thought I'd get out of it. Each time it was something new. Always a different voice, always apologizing. Some were short. One was just a woman, sobbing and saying, "Forgive me," over and over. One time it was a kid's voice. I didn't mean to break it. No two were alike. None made any sense to me. But I kept going. Until last night. It was raining, and I almost didn't stop. But habit won. I parked, jogged over, stepped inside. The booth was dry inside somehow. Picked up the phone. And it was my voice. Not maybe, not sort of. It was me. Saying, "I'm sorry. I wish I could explain, but I can't come back." Over and over. Same tone. Same hesitation on certain words. I felt sick. Dropped the phone. Just let it hang and backed out. Stood in the rain, staring at it. Then it said something different. "I know you can hear me. I didn't sleep last night. Don't think I will tonight either." I drove by this morning. The booth was gone. Just a square patch of dry concrete where it used to be. I'm not going back. I don't care what it says next time. The child who never turned. So this happened a couple months ago at the Westfield Mall in Wisconsin, the one up by Appleton. I was there with my sister, just tagging along while she did some returns. I'd rather gouge my eyes out than spend an hour in Bath & Body Works, so I wandered off, figured I'd grab a pretzel and kill time. I was cutting through one of those less crowded wings, you know, the kind with the shoe repair place and the weird pop-up calendar store, when I spotted this kid standing near a bench. Tiny thing, like 6 or 7. Backpack on, kind of dirty sneakers, just standing there facing away. I slowed down. There wasn't anyone else around, and the kid wasn't moving. Just staring at this blank wall, like he was waiting for it to do something. So I go, "Hey, little man, you lost?" Nothing. I get a little closer. Still nothing. Doesn't flinch, doesn't turn. Kinda weird. I step around to try and catch a glimpse of his face, but he shifts slightly, just enough to keep me from seeing. That's when I realize he hasn't moved his feet at all. Like, even when he shifted, his shoes didn't scuff or pivot. It was like his whole body rotated slightly, stiff as hell. I look around. Still no one. So I do the adult thing and go find security. A guy named Marcus comes over with me. I'm explaining what I saw, and we round the corner. And the kid's still there. Same position. Still facing the wall. Marcus goes, "Sir, please step back," and he walks right up to the kid. Then he stops. And he just says, real quiet, "That's not a kid." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He walks around it, bends down slightly, then looks at me. "It's a mannequin." I blink. I swear it was breathing. Or at least, it looked like it was. That posture, that slight shifting. But now, up close, it's just a store mannequin. Dressed in a school uniform, backpack and all, no face, just that smooth plastic nothingness. Marcus radios someone, tells them to check if a display got moved, but nothing's supposed to be there. No store nearby claims it. Nobody knows where it came from. We both just kind of stand there for a second. Then Marcus shrugs, says he'll move it to the lost and found, and lifts it up. When he does, something falls out of the backpack. It's a crumpled piece of paper, like a kid's drawing. Crayon scribbled. A stick figure standing next to something big and black with too many arms. Marcus looks at me and goes, "You didn't put that there, right?" I shook my head. Of course I didn't. He starts to say something else, then stops. Just kind of stares at the wall for a long second. I backed away. Didn't want to be there anymore. Texted my sister, told her I'd wait in the car. Next time I went to that wing of the mall, the bench was gone. The drive-thru order. I was working the late shift at a burger joint just outside Lafayette, Louisiana. One of those 24-hour spots that only really sees action after bars close or during storm season. It's mostly dead past midnight, so we rotate between cleaning, half dozing at the register, and talking about dumb stuff to kill the time. It started on a Wednesday night, rainy as hell. I was manning the drive-thru headset while my coworker Kelsey wiped down trays. Around 1:30 a.m., the alert chime goes off, the one that tells you a car just pulled up to the order speaker. But there was no car. I double-checked the monitor. Camera feed showed an empty lane. No headlights. No engine noise. Just wet pavement and fog. Then the voice came through. "Can I get a number 3 with no pickles, extra onions, and a large sweet tea? No ice." Calm, normal, female voice. Didn't sound robotic or pre-recorded. I froze for a second. I didn't catch that. Can you repeat your order?" Nothing. I looked at Kelsey, who was already raising an eyebrow. "You messing with me?" I asked her. She shook her head. Didn't say a word. I shrugged it off. Ghost button press, maybe interference, whatever. But it happened again the next night. And the night after that. Different voices. Same deal. Car sensor goes off. No car. Order comes in. Sometimes I'd try to talk back, but they never responded. Always just one clean sentence. Like it was only half a conversation. Management thought it was some kind of prank. Maybe a Bluetooth speaker trick or something. They had the tech guy check the system. Nothing wrong. Then last week it got weirder. I'm working solo, dead night, and the headset beeps. I sigh, already knowing what's coming. But this time, before the voice speaks, I recognize it. It's me. "Yo, can I get 2 spicy chicken wraps, no lettuce, and a small chocolate shake?" I said those exact words the night before. Not over the speaker, just while talking to Kelsey during our break, when I was trying to decide what to grab before clocking out. And it wasn't a recording. It was perfect. Right down to the way I cleared my throat halfway through. I ripped the headset off, checked the cameras. Nothing. Next day, Kelsey pulls me aside. "Saw the report? Order came through at 1:48? "Yeah." She bites her lip. "That's the same time I was talking to my sister yesterday. On the phone. I told her I'd bring her a number 1 with curly fries and a Sprite. That's what came through." We tested it. We made a list of random orders, said them out loud, in casual conversation, not near the mic. Then waited. Each one played back. Sometimes the next day, sometimes 2 days later. Always in the same voice, same exact words, but always before the person actually placed that order for real. Because here's the thing. The playback would happen before the customer showed up in person. Yeah, in person. Like last night, a guy rolls through the drive-thru, says exactly what we'd heard earlier from no one. I even asked him, "You been here before?" He goes, "Nah, first time. I was just thinking about what to get yesterday." He didn't say it out loud. Didn't place an order until just now. So now, I don't wear the headset after midnight. Kelsey doesn't either. New guy does. We didn't warn him. Figured we'd see what he hears first, and whether it says anything about us next. The missing 5 seconds. So, I work tech support for a security company out in Utah. Real glamorous stuff. Resetting passwords, updating firmware, troubleshooting when the cameras stop recording someone's dumb cat. Most days it's dull, until one call came in from a warehouse out near Ogden. Guy on the line, name's Mike, says there's a glitch with their overnight footage. Specifically, every night at exactly 3 a.m., one of their exterior cams cuts out for exactly 5 seconds. Always 5. Always the same camera. Normally I'd chalk that up to a power hiccup or bad weather, but the rest of the system's totally stable. Plus, it's Utah. Skies clear most nights, so I remote into their setup, pull the last few nights of footage. And yeah, there it is. At 3 a.m., the feed distorts, like someone's waving a magnet over an old TV. Then in total static. At 3:05, the picture snaps back. No errors, no missing frames. Thing is, during that 5-second gap, nothing else in the system logs a blip. No voltage dips, no bandwidth spikes. Just nothing. I zoom into the footage around the cutoff point. Before it glitches, you see the side of the building, a dumpster, a couple crates stacked out back. After it comes back, same exact frame. Except it's not. Subtle stuff's different. The crates are shifted. Dumpster lid is open when it wasn't before. One of the floodlights is off. Like something happened, but the camera didn't see it. I figured maybe someone's messing with it, but there's no movement detected. No human shapes, and the weird part. The area the camera's looking at, that's the main wall of the building. And in one frame, right when it comes back, that wall isn't there. It's just gone. For a single frozen moment. Instead of bricks and siding, there's this flat gray void. Like Photoshop erased the whole damn building. I go back frame by frame. It's there 1 second, gone the next. Then back again. I showed it to my manager. He thought it was a rendering bug. Told me to flag it for review and move on. But I couldn't. I dug deeper. Pulled older files from cold storage. The glitch didn't start until 3 weeks ago. Before that, the feed was fine. Then suddenly, every single night, 3 a.m., 5 seconds of static, and then these little differences afterward. One night, a sign on the wall disappears. Another night, the ground looks wet, even though there was no rain. One night, a new crack appears across the side window, like time skipping, or resetting. Last night, I stayed late. Set up a manual screen capture to run independently, separate from the security software. Wanted to see if it would catch the moment without relying on their system. This morning I checked the capture. During the 5-second gap, the screen didn't go to static. It went black. Totally black. But not like no signal. More like the camera lens was staring into empty space. No light, no contrast, no anything. And then for one frame, just one, it showed me something else. A street, empty. No buildings, no sky. Just rows of streetlights stretching off into the dark. And one person standing under the closest light, facing the camera. I don't know who it was. Couldn't make out a face. But they didn't move. Didn't blink. Just stood there. Next frame, it was gone. Building's back. Everything normal. I didn't tell anyone, but I copied the frame onto a flash drive. And when I got home and plugged it into my laptop, that photo wasn't there. Just a blank file named 300_you saw it too. The endless tunnel. I was driving through Indiana, somewhere between Bloomington and Martinsville. Back roads, not much traffic. Google Maps rerouted me because of a construction detour. I didn't think twice. It took me off the main road and down this narrow asphalt stretch, flanked by fields and broken down barns. Then I hit the sign. One way, detour ahead. Small vehicles only. I drive a little hatchback, so I figured I was fine. A few orange cones, a couple blinking lights, and then the road dipped slightly. And I was inside a tunnel. Not a big one. No lights, just a one-lane, barely wide enough concrete tube that looked like it was meant for maintenance crews, not traffic. But hey, there was a sign. So I kept going. At first, I thought it'd be a short thing. Maybe half a mile, tops. But after 5 minutes of driving, I started getting uneasy. No end in sight, no curves, no change in grade, just tunnel. I tried my radio. Static. Phone had 0 bars. I slowed down to a crawl and flashed my brights. Still nothing ahead, but more tunnel. Then I saw the writing. On the walls. Dozens of faded words, written in paint, marker, even what looked like scratched-in penknife letters. Don't stop. Not a detour. Keep moving, always. Some were newer. Some so old you could barely make them out under the layers. 1968. Still here. They don't build these anymore. If you see the Plymouth, it's already too late. I hit the brakes. I don't know why. Something about that last one, about the Plymouth, just rattled me. I sat there for a second, engine humming, heart racing. Then I saw headlights, coming from the other direction, which shouldn't be possible. I backed up as much as I could, hugged the right side. The other vehicle passed me with maybe 2 inches of clearance. It was, I don't know, an old car, really old, but not like anything I'd ever seen. Big chrome grille, black body that seemed to suck in the light. No plate, no driver, or at least none I could see. Gone in a blink, I tried turning around. No room. So I kept going. At some point, the wall messages started getting desperate. Turn back, if you still can. There is no out. I left my name here. Find it. Remember me. And then, you're making it real by reading this. That one was fresh, still dripping. I gunned it. Finally, after what felt like forever, I saw a faint light. I floored it. Burst out into daylight so fast I almost lost control. I was back on a main road. But the signage didn't look right. Speed limit was in kilometers. The road names, none I recognized. The cars, all just slightly wrong. Logos I couldn't place. Designs that looked 5 years ahead or behind. And my phone? No service. No GPS. I pulled over, tried to find where I was. Then I checked the back of my car. Painted across the hatch in black marker, "You made it out. Don't look for the entrance." I haven't, but sometimes I dream about the tunnel. And each time, the writing on the wall is something I remember writing myself. The Buzzer House. So I was house sitting for my uncle in Oklahoma City while he and his wife went on a 2-week road trip. Big suburban house, 2 stories, motion lights on the porch, security system installed but never armed. You know the type. The first night was chill. Made some pasta, watched TV, fell asleep on the couch. Around 2:13 a.m., I know because the cable box clock was right in front of me. I heard this sound. Sharp, mechanical, like an old school door buzzer, except they don't have one. I checked the front door. Nothing. Back door, locked, window shut. No motion detected on the cameras either. Figured maybe I imagined it. Whatever. Next night, same time. 2:13 a.m. Same buzz. Just once. Loud. Short. Like someone hitting a button and letting go. This time, I was fully awake. Jumped up. Did the whole loop again. Still nothing. But I noticed something else this time. The lights. The recessed lights in the kitchen dimmed, like just a flicker. Barely noticeable, but it was timed with the buzz. This kept happening. Every night. 2:13 a.m. buzz. Flicker. I started recording it on my phone. Half the time, nothing picked up. Other times, the video would glitch right at 2:13. Frames dropped, audio distorted. I thought maybe it was EMF or some old wiring thing. I called my uncle, asked if they had any weird old systems or wiring I should know about. He laughed it off, said the place was inspected when they bought it. Clean. But when I told him the exact time the buzz happened, he went quiet. Like, silent. Then said, "We'll talk when I get back." I couldn't let it go. Started digging. Searched the house top to bottom. Found nothing. But then I went into the crawl space. I don't know why. Just had a hunch. There, tucked behind the HVAC unit, was a metal box. Unmarked. Wired into the wall. It had a tiny red light that blinked once. At 2:13. No switches. No ports. Just a light. And this old brass label that said, Unit 6F, do not tamper. I backed out fast, took pictures, emailed them to myself, left the house. Next day, I got a call from a restricted number. The voice on the other end said, "You're not authorized to document this unit. Delete all images and remain off-site until further notice." Click. I called my uncle again. He didn't answer. But a few hours later, I got a text from him. "Don't worry about the box. It's not about you." That's it. When they finally came back, everything looked normal. No buzz, no flicker. Like it shut off the moment I left. A few months later, I drove by the house. Just out of curiosity. Different car in the driveway. Different mailbox. Different number. Like the house had been replaced. But at 2:13, I swear the streetlight in front of it dimmed. Just for a second. The number in the mirror. I moved into the apartment in Baltimore, Maryland, right before fall semester started. Old building. Radiators that knock at night. Floors that creak if you breathe too hard. And a bathroom mirror that looked like it had been around since the 70s. It was the mirror that caught my eye the first morning. Not because it was fancy, it wasn't, but because there was a little number scratched in the bottom right corner. 1. Just a single digit. I figured it was from the last tenant, or maybe some weird manufacturer marking. Didn't think much of it. Until the next day, when it said 2. Same spot, same handwriting. Like someone had added it overnight. I even wiped the mirror with cleaner, thinking it was some kind of residue. Still there. Fresh. Perfect. By the end of the week, it was up to 7. That's when I started taking pictures. And yeah, it was changing. Every morning. Just one number higher. Like a countdown, but in reverse. And no, it wasn't a sticker. It wasn't condensation tricks. And no one else had keys to my place. On day 10, I got up early just to watch. Camped out in the bathroom with a thermos of coffee, eyes on the mirror. At exactly 6 a.m., the glass shimmered. Barely noticeable, like heat rising off asphalt. Then the 10 appeared, just like that. But that wasn't all. The reflection didn't match the room anymore. Same layout, yeah. Same toothbrush, same cracked tile, but different lighting. Slightly off coloring. And I swear, someone else was in it. Me, asleep, in bed, in the reflection. Like I was looking into a version of my apartment that was 5 minutes behind. I leaned closer. My reflection leaned closer too, but not in sync. Like it was delayed. Like it was thinking about whether to match me or not. I backed out of the bathroom. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't brush my teeth. I just sat in the kitchen watching the clock. The next morning, 11, in the mirror, The room was darker. My reflection wasn't asleep anymore. He was standing, facing the mirror, but not mimicking me. He was just watching. I covered the mirror. Duct tape, towel, whatever I had. Didn't matter. Next morning, the towel was on the floor and the mirror said 12. My reflection was grinning. I tried to smash it. Used a wrench from under the sink. Glass didn't even crack, like I was swinging at steel. I moved out on day 15. Left the mirror, the furniture, everything. Took my laptop and 2 bags, and never looked back. Last I checked, the place got rented again. Sometimes I wonder what number the new tenant woke up to, and whether the guy in the mirror still looks like me. The fridges do not match. I was sharing a rental in Louisville, Kentucky, with 2 other guys, Eric and Mason. Chill setup. Cheap rent, decent kitchen, and a secondhand fridge that came with the place. Slight dent on the bottom door, freezer up top, nothing fancy. Everything was fine until I noticed the yogurt. I buy the same brand, same flavor. Strawberry, red lid, always grab a 4-pack. I remember putting 3 in the fridge on Monday after eating one. Tuesday morning, only 1 left. I figured one of the guys helped themselves. Happens. But when I asked, both denied it. Eric even showed me his dairy allergy meds. Mason just laughed and said he hadn't even been home Monday night. Okay, chalk it up to forgetfulness. But then Wednesday, the opposite happened. I opened the fridge before work, and there were 5 yogurts. Same kind, red lid. Identical to mine. But I never bought more. I checked the expiration dates. Some were 2 weeks out, some were from last year. Now I was paying attention. Over the next few nights, I started tracking the fridge's contents. Took photos with my phone every night before bed. And checked again first thing in the morning. Stuff kept changing. Sometimes it was small. A bottle of ketchup would shift spots. The ice tray would be half full when I left it empty. Once, the eggs I boiled were raw again. But other times, it was off in weirder ways. Things we never bought would show up. A can of soup with a label I didn't recognize. A Tupperware container with food inside that none of us claimed. Once, I found a beer can with a brand that didn't even show up on Google. Eric and Mason started noticing it too. We compared photos. Every night, stuff changed. But only between midnight and 6 a.m. And it wasn't anyone sleepwalking. We checked the Nest cam in the kitchen. No one went in. One night, I couldn't sleep. So I stayed up, waited. At 2:14 a.m., I walked into the kitchen. Fridge was humming like usual. I opened it, and the light didn't come on. Not only that, the inside looked different. The shelves were reversed. The butter tray was on the wrong side. Even the magnets on the door had swapped places. I reached in to grab the OJ and nearly dropped it. The label wasn't in English. And when I looked closer, I realized something else. The fridge was deeper than it should have been. Like, way deeper. I couldn't even see the back. I leaned in, and the door started to close behind me. I caught it just in time, shoved it open, and I swear, for a split second, I saw another hand pushing from the other side. Same position, same motion, but not mine. I slammed it shut. Next day, Eric said all his leftovers were gone, replaced with containers filled with gray rice and boiled eggs. Mason didn't say anything, just packed a bag and moved out that weekend. We unplugged the fridge, got a new one, hauled the old one to the dump. But last week, I got home from work, and there it was, sitting in the driveway. Same dent, same faded handle. I called Eric. He didn't answer. And when I opened the door, the inside was completely empty. except for one yogurt cup. Strawberry, red lid, expiration date tomorrow. The silent move. I live in a quiet cul-de-sac just outside of St. Louis, Missouri. Most of the houses here look the same. Brick fronts, two-car garages, little lawns. Nothing fancy, but it's got that suburban peace people always talk about. So when the house next door went up for sale, I wasn't surprised. The owners, an older couple, kind of reclusive, hadn't been seen much in the past year. The sign went up on a Tuesday. No open house, no tours, but then 3 days later it had a big red sold sticker on it. That was when things got weird. There was no moving truck, no sound, no yelling, no thumps of furniture scraping floors, no kids running around. Just silence. But furniture started disappearing. I noticed the dining room set first. You could see it through their front window. Classic oak table and chairs, dusty as hell. One day it was there. Next day, gone. I figured I missed the movers somehow. But I work from home. My office faces their house. I'm always looking out that window, then the couch vanished. The armchair. Bookshelves. One by one. The whole living room emptied out. But nobody came in or out. No van. No hired help. No sound. And every night, more pieces of furniture seemed to be gathered by the windows, as if they were being staged, like they were waiting their turn to leave. By the end of the week, the only thing left was a floor lamp. It stood by the window for 2 whole days, before it too was gone. That's when I decided to knock. No one answered, but the door was unlocked. Inside was spotless. No dust, no footprints, just empty rooms that smelled faintly of pine cleaner. I called out, walked through the kitchen, the dining room, and up the stairs. Every room was bare, except one. At the end of the hall, behind what I had always assumed was a linen closet, there was a door I had never noticed before. It was cracked open. I pushed it gently. Inside was another room, but it wasn't like the others. The ceiling was too low. The walls sloped oddly, and the floor was made of worn-down tile instead of carpet or hardwood. Furniture was stacked along the walls, pieces I'd never seen in the house before. A velvet chaise, a grandfather clock, a desk that looked straight out of the 1800s, and in the middle of the room, a small hatch in the floor. I bent down, touched it. It was warm. Before I could open it, I heard something behind me. Not footsteps, not a voice, just a faint shifting sound, like something heavy being dragged across tile. I bolted, ran down the stairs, out the door, and straight home. Locked every door, pulled the blinds. That night, a new light came on in that hidden room. Soft amber glow behind the upstairs window I swore didn't exist until now. The next morning, the house was empty again. No furniture, no lights. But when the new owners moved in the week after, they started renovating. Tore out walls, added skylights, fresh paint. And when the contractors opened up that back hallway, they found nothing but insulation and beams. No door, no closet, no room. Just a blank wall where the entrance used to be. And yet sometimes when I pass by at night, I swear I still see that light, waiting to move again.